In this position, I played the move f6, which is not a great move and one that I would come to regret. I completely missed something in this position. This was round 7 for my OTB tournament, and I was actually playing against someone who was undefeated. So I had 3.5 points going into this final round. My opponent had 4 points and did not lose a single game. He had 4 draws and 2 wins to get 4 points out of 6 rounds, was playing very good solid chess, and I started off the game with a very bad opening. I'm going to show you the rest of the game. I just didn't give up. I tried to fight back, but I'm going to show you what happened. Let's take a look at this game. So I'm playing against Saket Nagavarapu, who I've actually played 2 times previously in tournaments. And so for some reason, we just keep getting paired against each other in these tournaments, which is kind of interesting. But he played d4, and I wanted to play something aggressive and tactical. So I played d6 and e5. And my point is that when he takes me, which he did, I'm going to play knight c6, and I'm hoping he takes this pawn. This is what I want to see, because now my bishop can come out. My other bishop can come out. I'm going to play queen e7, knight f6, castle, queen, something like this, and try to be real aggressive. Okay, that's what I was looking for. But he didn't take the pawn. He just played knight f3. And the problem with this move for me is I don't have a lot of ways to proceed. I don't really want to take this because of the queen trade. I can't develop my knight. The bishop's kind of stuck. So I played bishop g4. I didn't see a lot of options. Again, giving him another opportunity to take the pawn. He doesn't do it. He plays bishop e2. And here I'm like, well, I guess I have to take it now. I got to make some kind of reasonable move. I didn't really want to allow queen trades, but at least now my rook can come to the open file. So I thought, okay, this makes some sense. So this is what happened. And he took the queen almost immediately. And I'm like, great. We're going to get another draw, right? Then he goes bishop b5, and I completely blundered here. And, you know, it's not the type of blunder where you give up a piece for free blunder. It's a blunder where I completely missed something obvious. Okay? In my mind, I did not think that I could play the move knight e7 here. Why do you guys think that I thought that? And what did I miss? Go ahead and pause. All right, so the reason I thought I couldn't play knight e7 is because there is a pin, and he's going to take my pawn. Okay, fine. What I missed is super obvious, basic, a tactic that I have seen hundreds of times before. Rook to d1 checkmate. I mean, it is really, really basic. And the fact that I didn't see that was just... I was kind of tilted from my previous round. The previous round lasted a very long time. I ended up getting a draw, even though I was in a winning position. So I wasn't happy about that. And this was just an awful oversight. So because I didn't think I could play knight e7, which would be nice to defend my knight here so I don't have to ruin my pawn structure, I didn't want to retreat with my bishop. I didn't want to put my rook on an awkward square. Also, that doesn't really deal with the pin, right? And since I was completely missing this idea, you know, I played the move f6. The problem with f6, yes, it defends the pawn. Okay. The problem with f6 is he just takes this, and look at my pawn structure. We are now going into a basically completely equal endgame as far as the, 4 pawns against 4 pawns, 3 pawns against 3 pawns. Except now my pawn structure is absolutely ruined, which means he has targets. He has outposts for his pieces that I do not have because his pawns are very beautiful. It is an awful position to get out of the opening. The opening was a complete failure for me. And so at this moment, I'm like, he plays bishop e3, and I'm sitting here going, Nelson, what have you done here? This is bad. And so I just basically said, okay, I'm just going to have to try to play the best moves, try to hold on, and just see if maybe I get an opportunity later in the game, because this is just bad. So I played a6 not lose the pawn. He goes knight b to d2. I dropped my bishop back because I'm like, what is my bishop doing here? I don't really want to take that. At least here I'm stopping knight c4 temporarily. That could be an annoying square for his knight. I thought he might put that knight there and then reroute the other knight to defend it. And I'm like, this knight's going to just sit there all game. He goes knight to b3. I push the pawn. I mean, at this point, I'm a little bit, I don't want to say desperate, but I'm kind of like, I don't have a lot of good moves. And so I played a5. If he takes me, I was like, well, there's a fork. And if he tries to defend, there's a little tactic. I can take with the rook. He has to take, and I get the knight. So that's great. Of course, he's not going to fall for that, but, I set a little trap. But he plays the knight back. I push the pawn again. I'm like, this is a weak pawn anyway. May as well push it. Maybe I can throw it up here at some point and cause some problems to his pawn structure. He goes knight c5, and I took the knight. If I don't take the knight, I don't have a lot of good options, right? I don't want to go like super defensive and drop back here, and there's other knights going to be able to come into the game. I guess I could defend this, but then I'm just going to be losing this pawn for free, so I pretty much have to take it. I took the knight, and at least I can develop my knight here. Okay. He played the move b3, which kind of surprised me. For some reason, I thought he was going to like castle here and just fight for the file, but he played b3. I played king f7. I want to get my rooks into the game, and he goes king e2. I played rook a8. I mean, there's nothing happening on this file. I can't do anything. He's going to be putting his rooks there. I'm like, that's basically useless. So I thought, okay, rooks here and here, and then just try to hold on, you know. He played g3, brought the other rook over, like I said, and now he played b4. And I decided to push the pawn forward because I didn't want to let him just get this really nice blockade here on the dark squares where I really just can't do anything at all. So I thought, okay, at least if I push here, this could be a weakness. Also, it's basically locking in this a2 pawn as a target for my bishop, which I thought, okay, if he ever tries to move his rook, we can take that, get a pass pawn. Like maybe there's some, you know, value here. So I pushed it. He goes knight b3, and I rerouted my knight. What I'm trying to do is go to b6 and a4 or b6 and d7. I want to get rid of this annoying bishop, right? If I could trade my knight for this bishop, then we have a bishop against a knight. This is now weaker because the bishop's not going to be defending. Like I thought, okay, maybe I have some chances. So I wanted to get rid of this bishop. He goes knight a5. And right here, I actually missed a beautiful sneaky opportunity that Stockfish finds. So if you would like to pause, there's a really powerful move here for black. This is not an easy one to find, but if you want to go ahead and pause, see if you can find it. All right, so the move that Stockfish finds, and I would have loved to play this in the game, is rook to b5. And the first thing you will notice is we are ignoring this pawn, which we'll talk about in just a second. But the other thing is we're creating some threats here. So for example, if white just plays a random move, we're going to take one of these pieces. Doesn't really matter. Let's say this one. And then we're going to take the other piece. So we get two pieces for the rook, which is a great trade. Now the knight and the bishop are going to outperform the rook almost every time. This is a weakness, and black is actually totally winning. So that is the threat behind rook b5, okay, that we're going to take this. The question we need to answer, though, is doesn't white just get a free pawn? Check this move out. Bishop d7. Where's the knight going to go? If it goes back, well, we already saw what's going to happen. Thank you very much. I get the two pieces. Okay, where else can it go? Here? Nope, it's captured. Here, it's captured. Here, it gets captured. Here, it gets captured. Here, it gets captured. Only move is knight to d8. Then just go king e8. And the knight, again, is trapped. There are no escape squares for the knight, and you're just going to take it next move. Brilliant, right? Brilliant. I didn't see this. This is what I didn't see. I didn't see this idea of bishop d7. I saw this idea of threatening this, but I thought I had to deal with the pawn first. So I played rook a6, and I missed the opportunity for rook b5 there, which I think would have just forced the knight straight back where it came from. You know, so that would have been a very nice move. Okay. He goes rook over, and now I play rook b5, which is still a good move, still the same threat. I was just a little slow, right? He goes back, because otherwise I'm going to take it, like we just said. And here I played knight b6. And again, I'm following through with my plan. I want to go to a4, but I actually missed his idea. His idea was rook to d8. And it's a very smart idea because if I play knight a4 like I wanted to, he's going to go check. And what check does is allow his bishop to now go to e7. You say, why is that a good thing? Because he keeps his pawn defended, right? What I was hoping when I attack his bishop is he was going to have to move back this way and I take a free pawn, right? Or he just lets me get the bishop. And then I'm also happy because now this is a weakness, something like that, right? For example, if he plays, I don't know, a move like this. I think I was going to, oh, that's a fork, never mind. Like, I don't know, king move or something. I was going to trade here and then trade here and then take this. And I felt like, okay, now I'm kind of back in the game. Stockfish still says it's fine for white, but that's basically my idea. All right. Anyway, so he finds a nice idea. He's going to play rook f8 and bishop e7 and just stop all of that stuff. So I had to change my plan and I played knight to d7 instead. So similar idea, attacking the bishop, but now I also stopped rook f8. So I was like, okay, he's going to have to do something about that. And I actually thought he was going to play rook here. And I was planning on going for this line. All right, I was going to take this. It's a fork now. I was going to sacrifice my rook and I was going to take here. Now, Stockfish says it doesn't work, but my idea was that if he tries to invade, I'm going to run. And check this out. I can go check, push the pawn, and I'm going to get a queen. You can't stop me. So I was like, no, I have some decent chances here. Now, Stockfish says that the correct approach was check this way, and then you just take here, and now there's like rook a1, which, okay, I still felt like this is going to be very annoying for white to have to deal with this pawn for the rest of the game. I was happy with that position if I would have got it. However, he didn't give me that opportunity. He played c3. So he's keeping the rook defending the pawn. So I was like, well, I have to do something else. I don't really know what else to do. Let's trade this rook off. This rook is very active. Mine wasn't doing a whole lot anymore, so I played rook b8 to trade it off. He took, I took, and he goes king d3. And I realized he wants to play c4, shutting down my bishop along this diagonal. Then he wants to play knight a5, keeping everything nice and defended, putting lots of pressure on my position. And I'm like, I don't really know what I'm going to do. So I played knight d7. He played c4. And I brought my rook back. Because at this point, I'm like, I'm starting to get a little bit worried. I'm like, knight a5 looks pretty strong. I don't know what I'm going to do. So I'm like, if I go back, maybe I can either come this way with the rook. Maybe I can do some crazy stuff over here and open up some files and come in this way with the rook. Like, I was getting a little desperate. He went back with the bishop. I played knight b6, and I finally had an idea. I thought for a while here, and I came up with an idea. He played knight a5, which I kind of expected. c5. This was my idea. Now, first point, if the pawn takes, his knight is going to be under attack. So I can play something like knight a4. He has to save his knight. Let's say he goes back, and now I can go knight b2 check, and I'm winning this pawn. And I felt like, okay, I'm getting some nice piece activity. Fine. He took with the bishop, though. Here's the other part of my idea. Now I play knight a4, and I'm threatening to take this. If he plays a random move, I take, and I win the knight. Okay? So he's got to deal with that. So he goes back, and he didn't go back, actually. Yeah, he played knight b3. If he would have gone back, I was going to play the move c5. And the point is, again, he can't take because of this idea. I win the piece. And he also can't take with the pawn because of the same idea. I win the piece. So he's going to have to do something else. I thought bishop d2. And then I think I was going to like trade and play knight b2 check. Take this pawn. And, you know, there's some like pins, and I felt like I'm getting some nice activity with my pieces here by getting rid of those two doubled pawns, just getting them out of the way, right? So my rook can make use of the file. Okay. So back to the game. He didn't move his bishop. Instead, he played knight to b3, which you can see is an actual blunder. Why is it a blunder? It's because now I can change plans and go rook to d8 check and invade along the open file. And all of a sudden, man, bishop takes c4. My pieces are coming into the game, right? Now they actually look really good and really coordinated, and things are making sense, and his rook is still not in the game. He played rook e1. I have a question for you guys. Why did he not play rook to d1? What would I have played against rook to d1 if he tries to fight for the file? Well, there's different ways you can do it, but the most easiest is probably just take the rook, take the knight, and when he takes back, the pawn becomes a queen. a2, and he cannot stop this. Bishop can't go there. We just take it. The king is too far, and I just win. So there was a nice little tactic if he played rook to d1. And when he grabbed his rook and started sliding it over, for a second, I thought he was going to actually play it. But then he went to e1. I'm like, okay. So he's just trying to defend his pawn against the fork here. But I'm like, you know what? I'm still going to come in with the bishop. Look at his king, guys. The king doesn't have a lot of options. No, my knight. And you don't want to go here because you're stepping in line with the rook for a discovered attack with my bishop. So the only square is king c1. But then I was like, I'm just coming in. Knight c3. And we're starting to get in that time pressure, area of the game. And so I was thinking like, okay, there's a chance he might actually start making some mistakes here. I didn't realize at the time that I was already totally winning this much. I did feel like I was definitely, had a good position. He played king d2. And I had two options. I could take this pawn or I could take this pawn. At the time, I couldn't really tell which one was better. Stockfish says this was the way to go, but I took the other one. Still a pretty good position for me. And then it just went right back. I'm like, I'll take this one with check. I'll go right back. I'll take this one. I don't really see white doesn't have a lot of like productive moves, right, in this position. So he goes rook c1. I took the pawn. He played rook a1, trying to attack my knight. And here I think I found a nice move if you want to pause. All right, so I played bishop to c4. What I'm doing is threatening rook check. And he actually let me do it. He took the knight. Rook to d3 check. This is a very nasty move because where is the king going to go? If you go back, you are in line with this. And now I can take here with check, and you got to move. And then I'm probably going to go back again. And I don't know if it's totally winning the endgame here. I think I would probably keep this on the board. Yeah, maybe just something like e4. But this is a nasty position because I'm going to be able to play this or even... Oh, there's a checkmate here, guys. Look at that. There's a checkmate here. Okay, I didn't calculate everything, but I knew it was going to be really good for me if that happened. So I played rook d3 check, and he went king e4. And here I noticed something. If you want to pause, what do you think I played and why? All right, so first of all, of course you could take this with the rook. That's totally fine as well. But I played king e6 because I'm threatening checkmate with a pawn. If he takes this, game is over. That's a beautiful checkmate, right? And it's not that easy for him to stop because his king is trapped. My rook has him boxed in. My king is boxing him in this way. This is very difficult to stop. So he played knight to d4 check. If he would have played g4, by the way, I could have played g6. Same threat, right? Same deal. So he plays knight to d4, giving up the knight, which gives his king at least somewhere to run to temporarily. He goes rook a1, and I continue putting pressure on the king with my pawns. I played f5 check, followed by king f6, and it's the same idea. I'm creating this mating net where I'm going to push a pawn and checkmate his king. He goes h4, so he has an option to take that. I go h6, and it looks like he has no way to stop the checkmate, right? Wrong. He plays h5. And if I go here, this is not checkmate because of en passant. The special pawn capture to save the game for white. I thought that was pretty funny. All right. So h5, good move. He stops the checkmate. What am I going to do? Well, I played bishop d5. I'm threatening checkmate a different way. And again, the king is still kind of trapped. You can't really defend this. So he played the only move that he could. Bishop takes d4 check. He had to give up the bishop. Now his king can run away. But the problem for black is I simply go check. He moves, and now I play a2. So I'm not only up a piece, I also have this amazing pawn, which is going to be constantly threatening to become a queen. And right here, he actually resigned. So, you know, I'll show you the game review. On one hand, I'm very proud of this game because of how I finished it out. On the other hand, I'm not proud at all of this game because of how I started it. So, however you want to look at it, I played the opening terribly, but really well played at the end, I think. I held on in some really tough moments where it was tough to find moves to play, and I just kept defending and kept kind of waiting. And then I did get an opportunity, and I pounced on it. And so from that standpoint, I'm actually proud. So I finished the tournament 4.5 out of 7. I'm guesstimating I will probably gain a few points, maybe, or break even. I don't think I'll lose any, but probably don't gain a lot either. So, yeah, I don't know. Let me know what you guys think about the tournament. Am I on the right track? If you have some advice for me based on what you've seen in these recaps, I would love to hear it in the comments. I do read those and try to apply the ones that I think make sense. And so if you have some advice for me, I'm all ears. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed the recaps and learned a thing or two. And yeah, I'll see everybody at the next tournament. Thank you guys.